welcome to the Bowers live stream. I'm Luke. This is
I'm
Smith.
Smith.
It's a very special day today. We've got the infamous Smith with us to talk about furniture painting. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're having our live stream today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So today we're going to be talking about furniture painting, which is your specialty, Smith.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
And you've been associated with the Bow for a while. You've been here as long as I've been here. I've been here for about 5 years.
I think I've been there longer. Maybe 10 or something.
And I don't know. I've never actually asked this, but how did you get involved with the Bow?
I was in the zoo industry. I left the zoo industry. I wanted to do something totally different. I was actually associated with the environment in the zoo industry.
Yep.
Then I went on the dole. And then I did volunteer work.
It's very similar to how I started working for the Bow as well.
I wanted to do volunteer work, and the Bow was the perfect place for me.
Yeah, cool.
It's an environmental charity. I believe in their mission to prevent landfill. And it was right at my alley, and guess what? It was just around the corner from where I live, which is fantastic.
Ticked all the boxes.
And then ultimately I was offered a position at the Bower as a salesperson, which I took advantage of.
And so did your interest in painting furniture, did that start before the Bower or did it start at the Bower?
Yes, it did indeed.
And how did that begin?
I was at home twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, right.
And I went, And I have fond memories of 60s furniture as a child. And I spotted a couple of pieces and I said, I can make them look pretty funky.
Cool. So was it a creative outlet or was it like an environmental?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Yep, both. I think it started as creative and then it turned to environmental. Because I just saw this piece of furniture being wasted.
Yeah.
Going to landfill, and I went, nah. This is not a good thing.
I think that's pretty common. People at the Bow doing some. I think if Smith has an Instagram page, which is Retro Smith.
Retro Smith 1,
which is extremely prolific and popular, and so you can get an idea of the things that she does. Today we're going to talk about kind of some of your techniques, some of the tools that you use, and sort of how you get the results that you get, which I think are always pretty successful. We have a consignment program at the Bow where people like yourself out there watching, if you upcycle things or repair things, you can come in, become a member, and then sell your items through the Bow, and it's a good way to show kind of what's possible with second-hand items. And Smith is probably one of our best consigners, I would say.
I've got nothing left there now. It's all sold. What am I to do? I'm looking.
Well, now, so if you've got any good mid-century furniture that you want to donate to the cause, just either ring the Bower or get on Smith's Instagram and let them know. But if you've got any questions about Smith's pieces and stuff, please put them through, or any questions about what we're doing today.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about your tools? How do you want to start?
I want to start by saying that with the Bower, they are one of the best providers of second-hand furniture, and what comes in is so interesting. So I go in and I hunt almost every day, but I'm not a stalker, I swear. And I buy things from the Bower because they're an environmental charity. I go home, I repair them, I make them look really funky, then I'll bring them back in as consignment, which will enhance the Bower's financial situation as well. So it's a win-win situation. You can't lose by buying things from the Bower and putting them on consignment. So, and I guess they're pretty popular sale items because I deal with small living spaces. I target younger people, and they find that type of furniture incredibly interesting. And I'm cheap, but I'm not greedy. I'm not here as a profiteer. I'm actually a hobbyist. So that's how I live my life, which is fantastic. And the Bower has been so good to me. So, I guess I just want to start talking about, I can't actually paint furniture because I've only got an hour, but I can show you my techniques. And if you find my techniques interesting, then you might want to in the future put your name down for one of the workshops where you can bring your own piece of furniture in. We can work on painting it for you. And you walk away with your piece of furniture and fabulous knowledge. And I'm actually revealing my secrets today. So my little trade secrets. So it's out there now.
It's all for a good cause, though.
It's all for a good cause. So I guess to begin with, I specialise in retro and mid-century furniture. That's my passion. I've recently gone to industrial. That's another passion that I have. So bringing these things back to life. They're 60 years old. They're fantastic. You go to these Chinese manufacturers where it's low-key, very poor quality furniture. I can't restore that. I can't restore chipboard. I can't restore MDF. And it's so volatile, you just have to throw it into land waste. But the stuff that I actually restore is wood. A lot of it's handmade. Most of it is Australian made. So I like to promote Australian made products and good quality. This all came from Eames and Danish Design. So if you can pick it up, you're lucky. If you can restore it, you're double lucky. And it looks funky. Okay, but my speciality is painting furniture, which inevitably I have to. Sometimes if it's beautiful wood, I'll keep it in its natural form and restore it as best I can to bring out the grain, to make it smooth, to make it look, like really classy.
So when you're doing your furniture, are you doing a lot of stripping or sanding and taking?
Lots of sanding.
Okay.
Stripping, I don't like to use paint stripper. It's really bad for the environment. It's toxic. It's bad for me. So if I can sand it, I will. But sometimes I have to strip the furniture.
And are you sanding it right back to bare timber, or are you just sanding it in order to apply a coat?
Bare timber. Okay. If I'm going to be sanding, it's bare timber. Sometimes if it's a oil-based paint that's on there, rather than strip back, I will sand it and then I'll paint over it. So you have to make the surface rough in order for the paint to stick. But what I found out recently, porter's paints. You can paint porter's paints because it's rough, and then any paint will stick to it.
So is that painting on top of the paint?
Yes, that's exactly right. But still rough it up a bit. And by the way, guys, if you want second-hand paints, that's all I use is second-hand paints. I only have to buy one type of paint, which is it's Smith Signature Paint.
That's Smith Green.
The Smith Green, which is incredibly popular. So I actually have to go and get that mixed. But any other paint that I have is all second-hand paint. So trust me, guys, the Bower's got a lot of it. You never have to buy paint. And paint's expensive.
Yeah,
it's really expensive.
The stuff at the Bower is extremely cheap. It's like $4 a litre at the moment? Which, yeah, if you've ever bought paint, that's ridiculous.
I go to Bunnings, I have a look around, I go, there's no way I'm going to be paying that much money for a can of paint. There's no way. So I just go down the Bower, and guess what? I always get what I want.
Yeah. We're painting some rooms at our house at the moment, and we bought 3 tubs of paint. Like good-sized tubs. I think there was a blue base, a grey, or maybe 4, a grey, a white and a black. And from those 4 colours, we mixed all the different colours for the house. So each room's a different colour, just different variations of that. And it cost us like $40 or something like that to paint more or less the whole house. So it's definitely cost big. And it's fun as well, kind of like, working with what you've got.
That's right. And a lot of people have come into the Bower when I was working there behind the counter. And they used to buy paint in order to get their bond back from their rental property. Because they used to trash it, right? So they'd say, we've got to paint it, we've got to fix it, we've got to paint it. And they come in and they say, guess what, we've got our bond back. How fantastic. For a couple of bucks, rather than having to spend a lot of money at Bunnings. While we're talking about paints, if you ever get paints in a tin, always try to decant them into a plastic jar, because ultimately you can never really reseal a tin. So the paint will go up, but this type of paint, in this plastic screw tops, never goes off. I've actually got some at home that are like 10 years old, and I just open it. And people say, oh yeah, but you can't open it, you can't open it. And I go, yes you can. All you do is you just tap the lid to break the seal, and olay. There you go.
Top tip number 1.
It's a really, really good tip. So, but always put them straight into, if you can. And you can get these out of the recycled waste. Just go to any recycled waste bin on the street and you can find these things. You know how everything's in plastic now? Do hiss, but you can reuse it, okay? And when you finish with it, you can actually wash it out and reuse this again because it's water-based. I don't like to use oil-based paints. They're really bad for the environment. They screw your paintbrushes up. It takes ages to dry. It's quite hard to use. So I'm a water-based paint girl. And bear in mind,
to clean up as well.
that's exactly what I'm saying. The terps and it's really bad for the environment. It's bad for your health. The water-based paints these days are very, very sophisticated. They're not like the old days where they just sort of peel, and they're very, very durable. So water-based paints is that, and also too, they dry fast. They're easy to use. You can wash out the paintbrushes and reuse your paintbrushes. If you start throwing paintbrushes out, you're going to be wasting a lot of money, and it's bad for the environment.
Yeah.
So we covered that part of it with the paints. I'm going to also too. There's a spray can. This is the only way that you're going to keep the integrity of a rusted metal legs on a piece of furniture. Okay.
What do you mean by keep the integrity of it?
It's got a rust inhibitor in it.
Okay.
And I've actually got chairs at home that I've used this black flat paint 5 years ago. Still in pristine condition. This is really good quality.
And is there anything you do to prepare the material before you put that paint on?
I certainly do. So we have, slim metal legs, okay, full of rust. You get a scraper, $2, lasts you forever. This is a type of...
We'll put it up so you can into the close-up.
We're just...
Utilise our new technology.
I'm looking at chrome here. Chrome, if it's old and it's really good quality, it won't pit. It will rust, but it won't pit. The newer substandard manufacturers, they don't do such a good job, but you can actually get some of this off. And this is the same system that I use for heavy metal legs. So what I do is I will scrape. I don't know if you can see that, guys. Can you see how the rust is coming off just by the scrape?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see that? It's come off. So what I do then, I'll get a brush. I have a multitude. Oops. I have heaps and heaps of wire brushes.
And they're all different.
They're all different. Yeah, there's
the wire,
soft,
a bit
hard,
plastic.
rough. Couple of bucks.
Is there some brass bristled brushes in there as well?
Yes, there is. Look at that. Brass.
What's that called?
I don't know.
Brass bristled brush.
Say it. Say it. Brass, bristle, brass. I want everybody to say it 10 times really fast and see what happens.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
So sometimes I'll just, when I scrape it, I'll do that. If that doesn't work, I will get a piece.
So you've got kind of the top layer off by doing that, haven't you? The worst.
Scraping
There's
it,
still a
scraping
little bit underneath.
Yeah, scraping it, you actually get the hard rust off. And you know, if this is okay quality, it should come out quite nice. But as I said, the pitting is a problem, and so are my scissors. So we've got the steel wool. Two of my favourite things: a fine steel wool and a rough steel wool. Recyclable. You can use it, wash it, hang it up, dry it, use it again, rather than using sandpaper. And it's really easy to use. And you can also, with the steel wool.
So sorry, when you're washing it, do you just run it under water?
Yep.
Sort of open it up a little bit,
Yep.
or just.
Yep, just wash it, hang it up.
There you go.
And also too, if you have little corners,
How do you get
you
it
can
to
go
not?
like that.
How do you get it not to not rust if you wash it?
I'm telling you, this stuff for some unknown reason does not rust. You just got to make sure. But what I also do is I'll get a rag and I'll squeeze it. So the faster you dry it, the less chance you've got of it rusting.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll just get a bit of this. Now, another thing I use is methylated spirits. The best thing. So I'm going to just put a little bit of metho onto the steel wool.
Maybe look for that close-up shot again.
And we go like that. And guess what?
That is the best looking vacuum cleaner attachment I've seen in a long time. Oh, that is pretty
That's pretty
sexy
impressive.
though, isn't it?
That's pretty impressive.
Just hold it very still.
Okay. And you see the other side of it there? That's pretty impressive.
It is.
I think it
Okay.
home.
Yeah, we got it very close. You
Now,
can see the difference.
that's the preparation of removing rust from metal, and you'll get a lot of mid-century pieces of furniture that have thin metal legs. My absolute favourite. I want to talk about these rags. The best rags known to humans, and I've used a lot of rags in my life. Grandma's flannelette sheets. My grandmother used to smell of roast lamb every time I cuddled her. So, grandma.
You smell roast lamb or
I can only smell methyl in this one.
Oh yeah, fully roast lamb.
So you go and get
It's like rosemary.
grandma's flannelette sheets from the second-hand store, the double ones that last you a million years, recyclable. Okay, so you wash them out, hang them up. They look a bit scungy, but anyway, grandma's flannelette sheets. You can't get a better rag than that for your workshop. Okay. Also, too, I use these rags if I'm painting, and it's like it's kind of hot day, and I put one coat on. I want to put another coat on in an hour. I wet the rag. I put the paintbrush into it, roll it up, never dries out. And another recycling tip.
So sorry, so this is when you're painting. We'll
When I'm painting.
wet that up,
Wet
wrap
it.
the brush in it,
Wrap the brush in it.
and just is that like when you're going for lunch, or do you leave that
Yeah.
overnight?
Yeah, I never overnight.
Okay.
I'm a stickler for cleaning up the workplace. That my previous job was always leave the workplace neat and tidy when you go home, so that when you come in the morning, you're not freaked out by the
That's the
mess.
same at the bower, isn't it?
But I always used to practice that. I used to be the cleaner.
Little inside joke.
So grandma's flannelette sheets, guys, the best ever. Gone through the method. Now we'll just talk about sanding. I've got about 5 electric sanders at home, and I use this sandpaper, which you can get. I actually got $2 a metre recently at the Carlton Hardware, which really surprised me. Let's face it, guys, $2 a metre. Let's face it, guys, you cannot reuse sandpaper. Okay? You can't. So inevitably you have to throw it away. But I use it as much as I can. So I'll get a coarse piece. I'll do the big jobs on the hardcore furniture. And when it wears down a bit, I use it as a fine sandpaper. So I'm constantly thinking of ways not to throw this out unless it's totally cactus.
So do you have like a different piles for your sort
I
of
certainly
level?
do, and it's sick. It's like
No, that's
sandpaper
not sick,
hoarder.
that's
I'm a
enlightening.
sandpaper hoarder.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, but it is good because once it gets that finer, then it's sort of becoming a finer sandpaper. Isn't it?
Exactly. So, and it's also interesting that you should clean the surface of what you're going to sand beforehand, because you'll be really surprised what's underneath. So quite often you don't have to sand because it's actually quite beautiful if you clean it properly. And if you clean it and you still have to sand, garbage doesn't get onto the sandpaper and you don't have to throw it out.
And is there anything that you use in particular to clean the
There
furniture?
certainly is. My favourite, I've discovered this myself. It's a product called Oomph. I think they use it to remove graffiti. You put this on with fine sandpaper, spray it on, fine steel wool, rub it, wipe it off, and then you put the sugar soap to really clean the rubbish off it, and you'll be really surprised. Because sometimes you don't even have to sand, because what's under there is amazing, and all it is years and years and years of dirt and dust and grease, and it just sticks there. And you'll see old furniture, it looks it's got that little blackish look about it. That, in fact, is years and years of dust and grease.
You're talking wooden furniture?
Wood, yes. You can also do the same thing with metal. if you don't want your metal to rust and you don't want to spray it, all you do is put oil on it and it won't rust. It'll be
So what sort of oil do you bring up?
the oil that I use. It's called cedar.
And that's for the metal that you put on, yeah?
You can put it onto metal and it'll stop it from rusting. But also too, this oil is absolutely superb because it takes scratches out of furniture. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to this one. I'm going to scratch this. Can you see the scratch?
There's a bit of glare. Maybe if you just angle it a little bit towards me. There, I can see the scratches now, thank you.
Okay. I've got an oil rag, another one of Granny's
Roast
flannelette sheets, which I've used time and time again, so it's soaked with this oil. So if you just get your rag with that, and if you, I don't know, can you see that now?
Yeah.
Scratches are gone. It's incredible.
Yeah, so it's kind of just taking the colour out of the scratches, isn't it? So putting
Yeah. I mean, you can see the scratch, but you can't actually, So it's amazing. Rather than, having to take all this varnish off with the paint remover, sand the crap out of it, and then put this on. It's just got a few scratches. And I've done so many pieces of furniture, old bookshelves, I've just put the oil on and they've come up like new. But bear in mind, guys, that you have to, I've got a lot of wood in my apartment. I'm a wood freak. And I oil my furniture and stuff once every 3 months to sort of, it's easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do, So just sort of rub that over. Where was I up to? The cleaning. Now with some of those old pieces of furniture that you get, the old drawers that won't open. God save us. And actually, it turns you right off buying something. I watch people at the barrel come in, and the first thing they do is they open the drawers. And they say, oh, these are smooth. Silicone. You spray this on, and all drawers will open and close really easily. Okay? It's not expensive, and you can use it quite brutally, like I do. You don't have to use the whole can. I think I've had this can now for about 12 months. So it's like a brand new drawer.
So it's like a spray lubricant that
That's
doesn't collect dust.
No, not as far as I know.
Yeah. No, I think it's silicone sprays generally. That's the sort of difference between your regular WD-40s and stuff, is that it's a lubricant, but it won't collect dust in the same way as the other ones do.
And you can also use it if you can't undo screws on furniture. Just spray some of this or WD-40. It does the same sort of thing. Spray it on, and then you can undo the screw, because quite often those screws on those pieces of furniture are 60 years old and they're rusted on, basically. So you just give it a tap with a hammer, spray this, little tap, move it around a bit, leave it overnight, and mostly you can undo those screws and bolts. So we talked about the sandpaper. For the small little jobs, I've just got my little piece of foam. That's cactus now. I don't want to throw it out. So
that was originally had sanding abrasive on it.
That actually was the sanding thing. So it's finished. But then I just get a piece of, and quite often I'll use my used sandpaper. Just wrap it around, just go like that, really easily on edges and stuff. It's really easy, so easy, and then it's reusable. Okay. So that's the $2 sandpaper. Now, if you have some glass on the furniture that you've got, you might have an old cabinet or something, and there's glass, and the glass is scratched, you can't get that out. However, there's a product called Penetrol. I've had this for like 10 years. Now, there are also...
That tin for 10 years? Or you've been using this product?
That
Yeah,
tin.
right. There you go.
The tin. And there are other products that you can use. They're pretty hard to get, I have to say. So if you paint that onto the glass, paint will stick to this. So I've got windows at home that I painted because there was too much glare. So I put that type of product onto the glass. I left it overnight, whacked on the paint, and it just sticks. It's fabulous.
Is it just for glass or is it for different surfaces?
It's for different surfaces, but I wouldn't particularly use it. It could be, if you use it extensively, it's going to be quite expensive. So that's it. Now, if you've got any holes in your furniture, I use wood fill. So I put the wood fill on. I just put it on with my finger.
So this is after you've sanded all the furniture down, you put the wood filler on?
Can
No,
you
I
hold
do-
that
I
up
actually
to
do it
us,
before.
please, Smith, and just
Okay.
show us what you're holding there in your hands there?
So that's
It's
just a
a-
timber.
It's
pipe.
yes, and there's two types. There's a one that's a bit more flimsy. It dries faster. This one, it's cheaper. But this one here is the one that really sticks. So I put it on before I sand. So I'll just go around if I've got little holes and stuff, because I pull furniture apart. And I don't necessarily put it back together again. When I pull it apart, before I paint it, I fill the little holes, sand the holes. So you just leave this overnight.
That's
Just put
interesting.
it on
Sorry,
a
so you pull your furniture apart, but then put it together in different combinations, or salvage bits that you think are interesting?
Well, like yesterday, I got a bookshelf, and it had a whole backing on it, and it was it's almost like a plywood backing, and it was pretty hideous.
Like
so,
a thin plywood.
Yeah, very thin.
Yeah.
So I hit it off, and then I replaced it. So I had the holes around on the frame of the bookshelf, the little holes because they had a gun.
Yeah, Brad and Hales or something.
Something like that. So I had to fill the holes. So I just ran along with my finger, just went along like that, left it, sanded it back, and it came up like gorgeous. And then I just painted again, and then I replaced that hideous backing with my favourite, pegboard. I'm a pegboard freak. So pegboard lovers of the world unite.
That's good as well, because I hate pegboard to use as pegboard.
Do you?
Yeah, I had it in my first little workshop. I had pegboard up, and I'd always take it all off, and the little things would fall down the back of the bench, and it was awful. So using it for furniture is a good
It's
way
fantastic.
to get it off the walls of tool shops throughout the world.
And you just put it onto furniture, and it sort of, you paint it, and then it just looks fabulous.
It's a nice kind of different texture behind the.
That's exactly right. And then when the light shines through, so you've got it in your lounge room, the light shining through on the pegboard, you get the little marks on the floor. So it's a really good hint. So when I took that off the bookcase, I put a couple of strips of pegboard and painted them green, and the green against the wood, because it was a solid wood bookcase. Look fabulous.
Is that up on your Instagram?
Yes, I actually put it up yesterday.
Yeah, cool. So have a look at that.
Yeah, have a look at that.
Check
Yeah,
it
it's, so you can see that I've started to use pegboard, and I'm totally in love with it. I just imagine myself living in a whole pegboard house. I wouldn't have any privacy, but
Wouldn't
I'd
be
have this
very
whole
waterproof
pegboard
either.
house. So it would be wonderful.
Drafty.
And drafty, exactly. So pegboard is something else I add. Now, with the painting, we're going to be talking about painting for a moment. The brushes are the most important thing. I bought in, I'm from Rockhampton, and I went to a deceased estate sale of a master tradesperson, and he had I bought about 30 of them, maybe 40 of these really, really old paintbrushes. And I seriously don't want to use them, but I have used quite a few of them, and I've got a huge collection at home. And the reason why they're so gorgeous is because they're graduated. I don't know if you can see that. There's a graduated paintbrush with the bristles at different levels, and there is the cheapo paintbrush that is cut off straight like that.
So the graduated one has a bevel.
That's
Bevel,
exactly right.
2 bevels at the top.
That's exactly right. So if you will not get the quality of the finish with one of these. Trust me, you won't. These are great if you're painting something huge, like a wall, or they're great. But if you're painting furniture, the paint job on furniture has to be absolutely immaculate. Otherwise, it's going to look like trash. Okay. So always choose the right paintbrush. And you can go to the outlets and get graduated paintbrushes, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. And painting with water-based paint, you can clean the paintbrushes really easily. Okay, and then you can reuse them, reuse them, reuse them, reuse them. You know, these paintbrushes are anything up to 70 years old.
And those bristles are still in pretty good nick.
So he cleaned his paintbrushes, this guy, and the collection I've got at home, somebody actually said to me, don't ever sell them, and I'm not. But the paintbrush is really important. And what you also, when you're painting, only put on a really light coat. Some people seem to think that they just want to put on one coat and they just whack it on and you get drips and all sorts of nasty things. If you just do it gently, 2 coats, because with water-based paint, in an hour, being touch dry, you can repaint it. Okay? So 2 coats of paint, and as I said, the paints these days, water-based paints, are very sophisticated, and they're very durable, long-lasting. So don't, go whack, whack, I'm going to put on a lot of paint, I only need 1 coat. It's not going to work, guys. It's not going to look good. So you've got to make sure you don't have drips, and got to make sure that you get into all the corners. So
How much paint do you have on your brush, ideally?
I never go more than there, because the paint will go into there and you can't get it out. Okay. Another thing, when you're washing your paintbrush, never wash it like that, because the water gets in here. Always wash it like that, okay? Because the water will not come out of here, and it'll take days and days and days to dry, okay? And then what you do then, when you've cleaned it as best you can, you go like that, and gravity will take the excess water out, and then you dry it with grandma's sheets, and it comes up like new at the end of the day. So you're all ready to go the next day with the painting.
And do you just dip it in, or do you sort of take some off?
Yeah, I dip, take some off,
Oh,
and then gently do it.
okay.
And then within an hour with water base, you can repaint it. So 2-hour period, you finish your paint job. Okay. So it doesn't have to be like a drama. It's quite easy, but you have to be mindful. Yeah.
And then what tools do you use to clean your brushes?
Tools.
Yeah.
I know. That's another thing. Yes, a very good question. The trusty $2 shop brushes, you just run the tap and always collect the water, obviously. Run the tap, and if you run the tap, if you brush it, all the paint will come off it.
And so you're saying collect the water. What do you mean by collect the water? So you have a bucket in the tap or something you collect the water into?
Yes, you do.
There's a technique we use in the shop for when we do our furniture painting workshops, where we actually get some aluminium sulfate, which is a flocculant, and you can, with your wastewater. So like Smith was saying, you can wash the brushes into a bucket, and you have your bucket of water. And if you put some aluminium sulfate in it, it actually separates all the paint waste from the water, which you can then filter off. So that's a way to try and get it.
Another way.
Yeah, a little
So
bit
you
of that.
don't have to pour it down the drain.
Don't have to pour it down the drain. So we get you put the flocculant in. It's like a pool cleaner. So it's designed for cleaning pools and getting particles out of, like a murky pool. So it'll get the paint particles together. You can just strain it through a rag. Maybe one of Grandma's special rags, or maybe just any less special rag.
Yeah.
And then the paint waste will actually sit in that rag, and you'll get kind of reasonably clean water. It's not perfect, but it's better than chucking it all down the sink. So.
Ben, you've just given me a very good hint. Thank you so much. Yes, that's going to be my future technique. So that's paintbrush care. Okay, guys, really important. This is Varnish.
Can you just show us the front of that, please, Smith?
This is my favourite varnish. This is the cheapest on the market, and it's my favourite varnish. When you have this is the only oil base that I use. I have to tell you. Okay. Always, you can't put oil base into plastic. so it has to stay in the tin. Okay, so you need to make sure it's closed properly. My brother taught me something. You put a piece of wood there.
Hang on.
Across.
I'm
I
just
don't know
gonna-
if you
I'm
can
just gonna-
see.
Yeah, that would be
We'll
good.
just go up a bit closer here. You put a piece of wood on top of it, and you hit it, turn it, and you hit it again, and that's how you get the levelling and the as much security as you can possibly get of that tin can. And then always stir it upside down.
And that's going to protect that friction ring as well from the hammer blows,
That's
which
exactly
is probably
right.
what damages that most of the time anyway, isn't it?
That's exactly right. One of my other favourite tools, which
That's
I've
one of my favourite tools as well. They're
I'm
really good,
loving
aren't they?
this.
Aren't they good?
I'm loving this. It's a people try to open cans of paint with their screwdriver, and then ultimately they damage the top. This, you cannot damage the top. You just open it and you just give it a tiny
And
twist.
it's just that little bit wider and that little bit of curve on it.
You got the little curve on it. This is one of my favourite tools of all, and as you can see, I've got the Smith signature on it where I've put tape around it. So anyone who tries to steal it, I'm telling you, there's trouble.
We'll have to take the tape off first, at least.
So that's incredibly important. Another thing with painting, guys, always stir your paint really,
How much?
really well.
How much?
Until it's really smooth. Always stir it, because you think you open it up and you look, oh, I'll just start painting. No, because it's separated. The water and now, if your water-based paints get a bit thick, as with age, you can add water to them, and then they come up like new. Okay, the stirrer is one of the most important things ever. Okay, and you have to use it, otherwise you're not going to get a good job. And plus, too, get little lumps in the paint if you don't stir it properly. So you stir it until you know that it's smooth enough. And how I tell is I pick it up, and the paint runs quite easily off the stirrer. That's how I know. Okay,
Like in a just a one ribbon sort of thing.
that's exactly right.
That's the same with high glue.
Yeah, that's right. Also, don't try and put really thick paint onto anything, because it's not going to work. It is just not going to work. You have to thin it out and then put a couple of coats. Yeah. So that's a really good hint. Now, if you need to glue little things,
What sort of little things?
you might need to glue a piece of wood that might have come off one of the pieces, or you might need to glue underneath a chair to secure it a bit more. This stuff, it's $2.50, a $2 shop,
Can you flip it around so that it's
and
not
it
a secret?
sticks like poo to a baby's blanket. It will not. It will stick every single thing. It'll stick glass to wood. It'll stick metal to, and I'm telling you, this is one of the best products. A 90-year-old man put me onto it, my neighbour, and he said, "You've got to get some of this, Smith," and he actually bought me some. And I used it, and he said, "You won't get anything better than this." And he was a professional craftsman. He said, "You will not." So it's $2 or $2.50. Fantastic. And it's an epoxy, so it's a bit smelly. Now, I want to, so we use the oil.
What's this thing here? What do you use that for? I mean, I know what I use that for in a workshop. What do you use that for?
Okay, it's the same deceased estate in Rockhampton. It's a old piece of wood, and this guy has put on, it's like a really heavy duty, what would you call that?
We use it. I know it as like a file brush. It's for cleaning files.
That's
metal
exactly
like that.
right, yeah. And in fact, you could even do this. I use this a lot. You could even take the rust off with that. It's an amazing tool. It's like one of my favourites again. I need to put a bit of glue onto it. But I've never seen such tough bristles
we get
before.
them in. We've got them in from time to time, and it's for cleaning those files. But I remember seeing it in your the painting workshop I came to do with you, and how effective it is at getting rust off other things as well.
Yeah, but not only that, you can do the edges of wooden things, and it comes up quite nice.
I like for just rounding over the edges.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
exactly
There you
correct. tough as all nails. Another thing, this is the best scraper known to humans. If you want to scrape paint off, if you want to, and you can also add, you can get this, put it into the hole and just push it along and have a smooth surface. And it's also got the little thing where you can get to the round corners, and it's also got the little thing here that you can gouge into corners. So this is and it's very, quite sharp.
I find that useful as well. Oh, well, I've used it. I don't know if it's the correct use for it, but for cleaning rollers, paint rollers, using that.
Yeah.
We're using this bit here
Oh, yeah.
around the roller just to try and get some of that paint off
Okay,
as well.
yep, okay. So one of the best tools ever. Okay, we're talking about, there's the glue. Also too, there's this other, this Bondcrete, which is really good for, can you see it now?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. It's easy to use. You can stick lots of things together.
What is this Bondcrete for?
Okay, for a little bit of veneers coming away from wood,
Yeah.
I'll put the Bondcrete in. I'll close it up with a couple of clamps.
Yep.
And walk away. The next morning I come back and hey.
Yeah, I use that in my past life as a landscaper as like a masonry adhesive. So if you're putting tiles or stone or something down, you can make a paste with it. So it's useful for that as well.
And there's a guy in Rockhampton who said to me, you can actually paint it onto wood and it leaves a really nice finish.
No, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know how durable it would be because it's water based.
Be interesting to see.
But,
I
yeah.
imagine it'd be pretty.
He was a woodman. He was into wood, and that's what he used it for. So you know, I'm trying all different sorts of techniques here. We've talked about that. Talked about grandma's rags.
Have we any questions coming in? So far?
Yeah.
No,
If
not
there's
yet.
anyone out there watching and got questions for Smith, now is your chance. You've got a captive here today. Learn from our knowledge.
Trade secrets. Another thing that I use a lot is the paper towel.
Yep.
That's really interesting. If you don't have any of these rags, you can also wet a portion of this and wrap the paintbrush, wet it and then put it around the paintbrush.
Yeah.
So it'll sort of save the paintbrush from drying out.
Here's an idea, Smith. So with my oil, like if I'm oiling a bit of timber, I've got a couple of brushes that I leave in I think I'll be floating around somewhere. Leave in an airtight container so that I never have to actually wash them. I can leave them in the oil
Oh, really?
container. Do you reckon you could do something similar with, like, if you had a designated brush, if you had an airtight container big enough, you put your paint in it, could you leave your brush in there?
I'm going to have a
overnight?
go. I'm going to have a go. And the best,
Patented by Luke and Smith at Bauer.
yes.
That idea.
And what I do as well, if you want anything airtight, Tupperware. That's how they sell their product, airtight. And seriously, you put anything into a Tupperware container and push the lid down, you have got a total airtight. The food never goes off, and the paints never go off either. So
You keep them
actually,
separate.
I might actually use that technique to see if I
Yeah,
can.
maybe. Yeah. Because I hate washing brushes.
Oh, so do I.
It sucks.
So do I. I soak them first in water to get most of it out. I hate it. I hate it. So yeah, so that's another. You're teaching me things.
We're all learning from one another.
Instead of using varnish, which I don't like to use, and I do it very rarely, one of our Bower people, Shane, put me onto this. It's called French polish. Okay. What you do is you need a relatively good rag to use this. It dries in 2 seconds flat.
So this is just a basic shellac.
It's a shellac, yeah. It's a basic shellac, and I'm just going to show you how you use it.
As opposed to a complicated shellac.
Yeah, look, I'm not into complications, and I'm sure you people, if you're just starting out to paint furniture, you don't want complications.
Yeah.
You want it to be easy.
So yeah, I guess the simplicity of it is it's all mixed, it's all ready to go. You can just go and buy it and
That's it.
apply it.
It lasts for ages and ages and ages. So I've just got this little piece of wood here. Always shake the hell out of it. So we've got what this stuff does as well, it brings out the grain and it actually seals the wood. It dries in 2 seconds But you have to be quite mindful when you put it on because you don't want to leave streaks. Hence the reason you need to have a relatively good rag, and it has to be quite soaked. You don't want it to, and never do it in a hot environment because it'll dry too fast. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of this onto a rag, and I'm just going to show you. I'll just move some things away so that. Is that a good place there?
That's a good place. It's becoming visible. Yep.
What I'll do is I'll lift that up like that. So there's our piece of wood. I haven't done anything to this piece of wood. I just got it from the guys here at the Bower. So I'm just going to show you how this actually works, and it's just fantastic. So it just saves you from buying expensive varnish and then having to do it. So we're going to put that on like that. So you can see how it's bringing out the grain of the wood.
And so is this what you're using on all your timber pieces now?
Yes, I am. This is my new technique. Thanks to Shane for teaching me about that. So now I normally use gloves with this, but especially when I'm doing a large piece of furniture. But the way you get it off your fingernails, not like these fingernails, oh my God, but these people that have lovely fingernails.
You've got lovely fingernails, Smith.
and they'll get shellac on their fingernails. They'll go, oh no, what's Smith done to me?
Isn't shellac, don't you do that for nail polish anyway? Isn't it that a thing?
I don't
It is a thing.
know. I
It is a
don't
thing.
know. So you can see very clearly how this is, how beautiful that has come up.
And how many coats would you put on that generally?
One.
Okay.
Just
And
one.
I'm telling you, waterproof, it's just like varnish. And guess what? It's almost dried. Now, if you want to get the shellac off your beautiful nails, you just put a bit of methylated spirits on. And lay, the shellac comes off your nails. There you go. Really good hints.
So what are you working on at the moment? You got anything interesting? In your...
I'm into bookshelves actually. I've got some. I've also collected some, which you will see on Instagram. You'll be quite impressed. What I've done recently is I've put before and after shots onto my Instagram so that you can see what it was and what it is now. I went all the way to Wollongong and I collected these two 1950s kitchen cabinets that a woman had found on the street and she advertised them to give away. So I went all the way to Wollongong because they were rare and they were pretty beaten up. So I took the before shot and then I took the after shot and I made these magnificent sideboards. They were corner kitchen cabinets that were up on the wall. I put legs on everything. I love those mid-century legs. It completely changes things. I love bookshelves.
So if anyone's out there watching, get on Smith's Instagram and have a look just for some inspiration perhaps.
It's been posted in the comments.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, so it's been
easy.
posted in the comments, so you can just get a link there. So Retro Smith.
So yeah, everything goes onto Instagram first. As soon as I finish anything, it's straight onto Instagram. And I've got quite a lot of followers now, which is fabulous.
And I think, like you were saying when we first started the live stream today, I think that's how a lot of us got into this thing, isn't it? It's finding stuff that's getting chucked out on the side of the road, seeing the sort of the value in it, seeing the potential in it, and actually upcycling it into something. So that's something. Yeah. It's such an accessible, easy thing to do, really. To go out, find the stuff on the side of the road, and kind of get creative. Worst that can happen is that you have a complete failure, and it's going to get chucked out anyway. So just have a go at fixing it up and expressing yourself.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. Once you get into it and you get into that mindset, it's not that hard. And as I said before, the Bower has the coolest stuff. That's where I really do score major at the Bower. So interesting. And as I said, it's a regeneration of finances because you put back into consignment. But my entire house is full of upcycle furniture.
It's actually this thing over here you were admiring earlier today. You can maybe talk about this. This is one that's been sitting here for a while that I picked up from the Bower that I've been waiting to do something with. But
I've had two of these in my lifetime that I've found. One of them I put a really nice piece of timber on the top of it, and it was stunning.
So did you do much work to the timber, or you found something that just sort of suited it? That fit?
I found the size.
Mhm.
I don't know, I can't even remember where. And yes, I did enhance it with the shellac, and I brought the grain out, but it was absolutely stunning. So it's a side table, it's a stool. So these are the sort of things that I
And what would you do to that besides putting the top on? What kind of would you do anything to the metal? Would you
Yeah,
paint it,
I
or-
know. I would actually, with this particular item, I wouldn't paint it. No.
so just sort of clean it up and maybe put like
Yeah.
a clear coat or something to prolong it?
Yeah.
Because there is that sort of
Or just oil it.
yeah, okay.
But what I promote as well, on every piece of furniture that I do, I leave a little bit of patina, always, whether it's underneath, whether it's a ding here, whether it's a scratch there. I always leave a little bit of patina to show people where it's come from, how old it is. I don't want my furniture looking really spiffy, you know.
Yeah.
It's
It
the
does though.
age.
It does look pretty
Oh,
spiffy.
does it?
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
maybe I should rub it up a bit. That's easy. I can do that.
No, but
Still
I know what
living
you
my
mean.
life.
Like there is like that's part of the interest, isn't it? It's that it has had a nice kind of life.
Yeah.
And it's been sort of highlighting that it has been repaired and it's been looked after. I think adds to its value for sure. And just looks like something that you've bought and you're in the shop.
Yeah.
Which detracts from its value.
But every single thing I do is a one-off. You won't get it anywhere else. And when I pass my restorations on, I tell people the story of everything that I do. I sold it was a sideboard. The pegboard came from Greenacre. The legs came from Arncliffe. The actual piece of furniture came from Wollongong, and the paints came from the Bower. So I tell them the story and I put it all together, and it makes it look really interesting, and it's all one off. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, and that's a nicer story than it's made in a factory somewhere where people aren't getting paid enough money and it's getting shipped across the world. And
That's right.
all
That's
this
right.
carbon coming out. So yeah, that's cool.
I remember I was at the market one day down at Marrickville, and one of the staff members from the Bower came across and said, "Oh, Smith, come in. Someone wants to buy a piece of your furniture and they want to know the story." So I went in and I told them the story that I picked it up in Mount Morgan in Queensland, the place of my birth, and from a deceased estate again, and I brought it all the way back to Sydney, and I did this and I did that to it. I put different handles on it, and that's another thing you can do to enhance furniture. Put different handles. I always like to use recycled handles. I don't like to buy new ones from Bunnings.
There's a fair few at the Bower of those as well, the old handles.
Yeah,
By the way.
I've had a look, but I look specifically for the retro ones. I actually take the Art Deco ones off and give them to the Bower. I donate them and then I replace.
And for people that don't live in Sydney and that aren't close by to the Bower, where do you recommend those people find furniture? Like tips or revolve centres at
Tips,
waste
yeah.
management
Yeah,
or
yeah.
council cleanups? Like
Yeah.
where else do you find
council
furniture?
cleanup. My favourite place beside the Bower in the world is the Rockhampton tip. I can't tell you how much stuff I've picked up there. They just have no idea. They just throw this stuff out. I just cannot believe it. The tips. Also to if you go to Facebook Marketplace or Pay It Forward, you can get stuff from Pay It Forward, which is free. I do a lot of Marketplace now. I'll actually pay for things, and I'll go way out west wherever to pick it up. Because of this COVID thing, I'm not going anywhere, so I might as well jump in the car and go for a drive. Side of the road, heaps on the side of the road. Deceased estates, they're fantastic. You'll get really cool stuff at deceased estates, and you're helping these people, move on from where they are, and also too that these people's belongings are actually going to a place that's going to restore and bring this furniture back to life. So it's not sort of,
It's not all just going in the trash.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
not, and-
not a nice way.
and the memory and the stories.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Have you got any pieces in the Bower at the moment?
I saw them all.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't believe it. I've got nothing in my garage sold. So I'm actually on the hunt. So I'm searching every day to try and find things. It's quite difficult, but I eventually get there. And I want to put some more consignments into the Bower. But I've got to actually get them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
so
I'm
I've got
sure
lots of
that'll be mine.
time. Yeah, other than that, I wish I could have brought in a couple of pieces, but I just could. I
Well,
don't
I
have
mean,
any
yeah,
really.
it's all up on
I don't have any.
all up on Instagram. You get to check it out. So we've
Yep.
got about 5 minutes left. Yeah, so if there's any questions for Smith, send them in now. We also have afterwards, Max. We're doing a one-on-one consultation. Is that right? What's that for furniture or for
Furniture repair.
So if anyone's got any sort of furniture repair questions, you can book in a time and speak with one of our kind of repairers, and they can give you some tips via Zoom. So you can actually show them the pieces your specific pieces that you need some advice on, and they can help you fix that up. And that's kind of what we're doing instead of our repair cafes, our live repair cafes, while this whole COVID thing's on. As you know, sort of in conjunction with these live streams where we share a bit of knowledge with you. If you have specific problems or specific questions, you can book a time and speak to someone about it, and hopefully we can help you out and you can get your furniture fixed. A lot of the furniture repairs that we do, I mean, it does take a little bit of time. We're still doing paid repairs here. You're more than welcome to bring them in and we can repair them for you, but there's a cost associated with that, and a lot of the time that's like a little bit out of people's reach. We try to keep it as affordable as possible, but not as affordable as doing it yourself. So please, give us a call if you have something you want to fix, and we can hopefully point you in the right direction as to how to fix that.
And if you're looking for anything, go to the bow. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you will find it.
Yeah, for sure. Have a poke around.
Yeah, have a poke around because they've got like a whole hardware section. Lots of furniture comes and goes.
Yeah, we're doing some renovations at our place, and I've got a door jamb, a gutter, and some other bits and pieces that are needed, all for like an absolute fraction of the cost that you get it new. And it's cool. It's like a beautiful, carved hardwood door with, I'm not sure what you call the glasses. It's almost like, the beer bottle glass. It's not
yes,
that, but
yes,
it's
yes.
like textured glass.
The amber glass.
Exactly, the amber glass. Yeah,
I love
exactly.
amber glass. It's so hard to get.
Yeah.
I've only ever had one amber glass
Yeah,
thing,
so
ever.
it cost me next to nothing at the bar. For
Yeah,
that, so
yeah.
go and grab that. So I think we're about out of time.
Are
Smith,
we out
it's
of
been,
time?
Yep.
Thanks
Yep,
for
we're
watching,
coming up
guys.
to a
yeah,
Really
close.
it's been
appreciate
a
it.
pleasure having you on.
And when we come back after COVID, workshops. Come and join the workshops, and then you can do your own painting, and we can have a really full-on, hands-on situation for you.
And next week for the live stream, we have another one. Check online. So what that is, I would hazard a guess that it's electrical, if not bike. But we'll be having another one. We're going to keep doing them until the end of September at the very least. We'll see what happens after that. Hopefully we can start doing some live ones, but we'll see how we go.
I think I'm doing a couple with Annette, a couple of live streams with Annette over in June, September.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
booked in
For upholstery and stuff.
I don't know. There's woodwork and I can't remember what they were, but there's 4 sessions in September that I've been booked in for. So this place ain't going away. Okay, you're going to see it again.
We're all happy.
Okay.
People are happy about it, I reckon.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you so much for watching.